What's going on, everyone? John here with Motivation Theory Running. Trying out the new software now. So hopefully we won't have too many issues tonight as everyone's joining the live broadcast. Go here and check the comments. Go ahead and leave me a comment if you are in here. Basically doing a test run tonight with the new software. So tonight we're going to be talking about the 24-hour adventure trail run that I ran 3 weeks ago. We're going to be having Joe Kern on tonight. What's going on, Eduardo? How are you? I can bring on the comments onto the screen now, so I'm super excited about that. So we're going to be talking to Joe Kern. He's going to discuss, and we're going to discuss our experience with the race. And we're going to be talking a little bit about his run across Indiana that he has planned for the rest at the end of the year or towards the end of the year. So he's going to be sharing that. And he's doing some fundraising for the local food pantry where he lives. So that's definitely for a good cause. How is everyone doing tonight? So we got Eduardo in here. Again, you guys are on the inaugural run of this. There's Kelly. Hello, Kelly. Channel member there. Got the new software. So we're trying it out tonight. We're going to use Joe as a test subject. So one of the things I've wanted to do for a long time is have guests on, whether they be runners from around the country, race directors, experts in the field, and also channel members, and bring them on and just talk and get to know people. Thomas Top, how are you? I've actually met Thomas running the 12-hour last year. Kelly says it's looking good. Thank you, Kelly. It's looking good. So Thomas, what's funny is I was running the 12-hour race, and he just happened to be running and saw me and recognized me and said hello. So that was actually pretty cool. I've had that happen a couple times when I've been out training on runs. So it's kind of cool when that happens. I think Joe's having some technical difficulties getting his devices connected here. Let me see what's going on here. Type in Joe a message. Hopefully Joe joins tonight. So how is everyone? So it's been a while. I don't know. It's probably been 6 or more months now since the last live broadcast. A lot has happened. I think I've run probably, 5 or 6 ultras since then. I started off this year strong with 3 ultras. Just finished a 24-hour race where I did 21 hours and decided to kind of just end it there. Joe Kern was along on that race with me. Before that was the Belmonte 50 miler, which is the race that I actually was my first ultra 6 or 7 years ago. I had a DNF due to a knee injury. That was rough, right around, I think, mile 36. So that was kind of disheartening. But I bounced back a month later and put a strong showing on. Kelly says I put a strong showing in that race, so that was a lot of fun. This past one, Kelly says too darn long. I ran my first ultra and have my second in June, so I just got back from my long run. Well, I'm glad you got it in, Kelly. Kelly is another channel member there, Joe Kern's channel member. So Kelly ran her first ultra. How did you like that first ultra, Kelly? The first experience of running a 50K is always interesting, or more. Thomas said it was funny. Yeah, running to him on the trail was kind of funny. I can't remember the name of the gentleman I passed. I was out running a training run when I was scouting for the 24-hour ATR, and I passed a gentleman on the trail. He just said, "Hey, John." And I was like, I kind of passed him and was kind of like, how did he know my name? Because I didn't recognize him. And he's like, "I'm so and so. I'm a subscriber." And I thought it was funny because he was like, he just said it in such a nonchalant way of like, you should recognize me. And I think people forget that I don't get to see them. I don't get to see their faces, so I don't recognize all of them. There's probably a handful of people that I would recognize if I ever passed in person. So it's always funny. I think Joe's still having some connection errors, connection issues. Go through and select your devices, Joe. Come join us. So for 2021, I've run probably around 665 miles now. And I just got back from laying off for about 2 weeks. I had this block of races at the beginning of the year that I was running. And then I figured when that was over with, I would, spend at least a week or two trying to catch up on all of the honeydew items I have around the house. I had a ton of stuff to do. And I just couldn't balance it all between the kids and sports and all the stuff I had to do around the house, getting their yard ready for the year and fixing trailers and trucks and running kids to softball and baseball practice. I just said, you know what? This is the perfect time just to take off a couple weeks from YouTube, from running, and just concentrate on getting those things done and not try to stretch myself too thin. So that's what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. Today was my first run. Woke up this morning, ran 11 miles. Felt good. And I'm going to be trying to do that. I'm trying to get up and run at least 8 to 10 miles for the remainder every day for the remainder of the month. That's going to be my test. That's what I'm trying to do. We'll see if it happens. Kelly said, loved every miserable step. Can't wait for more. The first one was easy as I could find a 12-hour looped with very little vert. This one will be much more difficult. Yeah. The difficulty, I think we all have the challenges where we live, but it seems like you get to do a lot of vert where you are, Kelly. I think you have some pretty good climbs where you are. Is dealing with the vert chain. It's vert in your area. So if you're going to a race that has a lot of vert, 10 or 12, 15,000 feet of climb over the race, and you don't live in an area that has that, it just makes it a little bit difficult. The Belmonte race, which has 4 climbs that are probably about 1,500 to 2,000 feet. It's not at high altitude or elevation. But like, I think the first climb for me, I don't know. I was having a hard time breathing. And I don't know if it was Kelly or somebody else mentioned having issues with dealing with some of that, even at 4,000 feet. So it was the first time it ever happened to me where I kind of just felt like I couldn't catch my breath and I wasn't getting enough oxygen, which is kind of strange. But I do know the last time I ran that race, I had been out for search and rescue training in that area for several days. So that may have helped me not have any issues then. Team Del Rio, hello. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Kelly said, oh, yes, just south of the White Mountains. I'm not familiar with those mountains. Kelly says, I'm lucky because I'm a half an hour from the junior race, so I can train on the course. So that's really good. So I'm pretty close to the 12-hour course, the 24-hour course, the 8-hour course with the racing series that I run every year. I'm really close to, and I get to train on those park trails all the time. So it's definitely beneficial. I don't think it gives me a lot of advantage because there's people who travel in and absolutely crush the course. But it does help me personally. Ooh. I see Joe's face. We may be having Joe's beautiful face joining the stream here in a second. I'm pretty sure he can hear me. He's probably stressing out. It's no stress. There's one thing about this channel is we are not formal, and we do the best we can. And what's a really cool thing about the software is I can have up to 10 people on it and host them. I don't think I'll ever have 10 people just because that's a lot of people to manage. You only fit 6 on the screens. I think it'd just be complete chaos. Thomas Top said, Kelly, how long is the upcoming race? Okay, got some back and forth. So Kelly's doing a 50K, so 3,800 feet of vert. That'll be a good challenge. That'll be a lot of fun. Let me see if Joe's ready to go here. I appreciate Joe's ready. So let me go ahead and bring Joe on. There he is.
How's the audio? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Very good.
Welcome to the stream, Joe. So for those of you who are active members in this community, you will and have watched the latest videos that I've had, you'll recognize Mr. Joe Kern here. How are you, Joe?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing? It took me a minute. We had it all planned, and then, of course, 5 minutes to go, and I can't get it figured out, but that's all right.
Hey, it's completely okay. The funny thing is I had Joe on last night. He and I were chatting and catching up, just trying to test the software, because not only is this the first time you've done this, Joe, this is the first time I've hosted anybody and used this software. So everything is brand new tonight. So you all are going to witness the dry run here, which is could be rough, but it's fun.
I'm on here. It's going to be rough, I promise.
No, absolutely. So it's good to have you on, Joe. So Joe traveled 600 miles, right, for the 24-hour
one way. That's right. 600 miles one way. Yeah.
1,200 round trip. What in the world possessed you to drive 600 miles to try this race this year?
Oh, to meet you, buddy. That was all it was.
Making me blush.
I've been wanting to try some races. Indiana is where I'm at, and it's pretty flat, not a whole lot of vert here. So I've been wanting to try some different races and get out of town, make a weekend out of it, And you were talking about that one, and I said, boom, there it is. We're going to give it a shot.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did, because I'm normally kind of a solo guy when I train, but I love running with folks and races. And so beforehand, you and I were kind of emailing back and forth. And sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to take these comments off and multitask here. But we were talking back and forth and just kind of figuring out, how we were going to handle this, because we're both kind of being, sheepish on that. Like, well, you're going to do your own plan. I'll do my plan. We don't want to mess each other up.
You never want to slow the other guy down, right?
No, that's the hard part about ultras, is dealing with that, because if you go through kind of the hard spots separately, you kind of, I've been in races where I just kind of teamed up with somebody and like, hey, if you have a hard time, it's fine. You can go back. I'm going to take off because I have a set plan. Or they say the same thing and you just kind of have an agreement. I don't think we even made that agreement. Like, we just took off and I was like, hey, I just want to, hang out with you and chat, get to know you. And luckily we were moving quite along, about the same. It
worked good. Our paces were very similar. I know you were a little more used to that terrain than I was. It tore my feet up a little bit, but it seemed like when I was in a lull, you were doing good and kind of dragging me. And then the very next lap, I felt like I could do cartwheels, and you were kind of getting a little quiet behind me. So I kind of felt like pulling you along a little bit, but it actually worked out better that way. I think we were able to pull each other and push each other, and we had a real similar pace, so it worked out well.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, I remember that lap. Now that you brought it up, I remember getting real quiet, and I remember just telling you, hey man, I'm going to be quiet. I was in that spot where I think I hadn't eaten enough.
Right. We all get in that spot. Yeah.
So I realized I needed to really kick in the calories. So I would, and then I ate a bunch of pierogies, and then I was kind of hyper for the next lap. And then we kind of traded off and on there, but it was a lot of fun. So with that race, did you kind of do any specific training? Because I know you did some research. You kind of watched some of my videos, and if you're anything like me, I try to research the heck out of races, and so I'm as prepared as possible. But
yeah, I did as much research as I could. I watched your old videos. I looked at the trail map, everything I could. But the most vert I've ever done in a race is about 3,000 feet, and I think we covered almost 10,000 feet. And And to be honest with you, the vert wasn't the problem as much as it was the rocks and the roots and the that's what I wasn't ready for. The sidestepping back and forth, the not being able to really keep a good pace at any point during the race, which made it a real challenge. That being said, I mean, it was I think that's the reason I liked it so much, is because it kicked my butt. I mean, honestly, if it was a flat trail, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. It left me with something to prove for next time, definitely.
Yeah, that's one of the parts that I think, if you haven't run in Virginia, or at least on the East Coast, and I know that Virginia is not the only one that has this kind of issue with the trails, but you look at it on paper, you look at, like, it's only 600 feet of elevation change or gain per lap. And if, depending on where you're from, you can think about that in many different ways. You'd be like, well, that's not that much. But it was over up and down. And it's when you start going through those rocks and those roots and you can't run through them. There's really almost just no way to run through many of those spots, especially as the day passes.
Oh, some of them rocks, especially near the creek bed, were up and down and jagged. I mean, you had to watch where you stood on the rock, because the rocks themselves had sharp edges and jagged edges. The last thing you want to do is drive 1,200 miles round trip and twist your ankle 30 minutes into a race, So you kind of had to watch what you were doing. That being said, like I said, the vert was tough for me. It's not what I'm used to, but the rocks and roots and the constantly, not only physically wore you out, but I think that's why at 21 hours I was so tired. I've done 24-hour races before. But I think the mentally, just studying the course the whole time you're out there, just mentally wore me out too.
That is the part that I think that wears you out. And so I'd done the race twice before. The first year I tapped out in a similar way. I got the 56 miles the first year, but I spent a lot more time at the aid station. And the guy I was running with, it was just mentally thinking about going on another lap, which, that first mile and a half and the last mile and a half they're treacherous, and they just zap your brain because you're having to constantly look down, watch every single foot step. While you go on the backside of the course, you can kind of just walk. You don't have to worry about it. But, it gets really difficult towards the end of each and the beginning of each loop to finish it. I mean, that was the hardest part. Honestly, if it had been a flat course, I would have had no problem going out again. Just mentally, it was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to put one foot in front of the other for the next, hour and a half, 2 hours.
If it would have been a flat course, I think we could have got 100 miles between us.
Yeah.
That's how much slower that kind of course will make you go.
So the winner this year, I took a picture of the names of the winners. So the record on the course itself, so everyone can kind of get a gauge of how difficult this course is. The overall record, I think, is 108 miles. Scott, I think Snell, who ran it this year, is from New Jersey. A great runner, a very strong runner. Ran 103.1 miles. And it had been 10 years since anyone broke 100 in a 24-hour race. So that kind of tells you how tough this course is. I mean, they have some pretty talented runners come in, and to have it be broken very rarely, 100 be broken in 24 hours shows you how tough this course is. So Joe and I came in, I think they put us tied for 13th overall.
Yeah, I forget. I looked at it. I forget what it was.
Men, we were top 10. I think we were 10 and 9. And then I think for age group, we were top 5. So I think, I was happy with the day. It's not like it's a 600 person field, but it was a good showing on our part. I think we were smart. For me, it was a good test, and just managing my nutrition and hydration. That's the biggest thing I was pushing, was just really eating enough. And I was almost bragging how much I was eating each lap. I
tell you, hats off to Alex. If he ever watches this, he puts on a great race. What is it? Athletics? What's the name of his races?
Athletic Equation put on trails throughout the year.
What a great race!
Great job.
I could only imagine if it was a full field, it would be just even better. The food was great. There were people out there all night. A lot of volunteers to help. And my nutrition, the one thing I learned about this race, my nutrition was on it. I mean, I had one lap where I kind of got a little behind, and I made sure I ate more than enough the next lap. And that's when I felt like I could do cartwheels. Once I got my nutrition back on it, honestly, the feet and the lack of sleep is what got me. But as far as nutrition goes, I learned a lot this particular race on that.
Absolutely. That is the biggest part of this. I mean, we're bigger guys. I'm 6 foot, 200 pounds. I won't put your weight out there, Joe, and your height.
Oh, that's all right, bud. I'm 230 right now. 6 foot, 230.
But the funny thing is, you're not a heavy looking side. You're a bulky.
I'm dense,
guy.
Is what I've been told. I'm very dense.
You're a muscular looking guy, so you're a little top heavy. So you're not this huge behemoth as you try to make yourself out to be, like just slumbering through the woods. But no, you're a top heavy guy, and we burn a lot of calories, and so we sweat a lot, and we need to eat a lot of food. So that was definitely something we took care of. I think we did really well. We did well with pacing. I think we probably went a little slower. We were a little more conservative than we probably could. We could probably maybe manage to get another 45 minutes to an hour out of the race by just being a little bit quicker through certain parts.
I think honestly, the first 12 hours, I think we were paced to do 80 some miles. I mean, the first 12 hours we were on it. And I think the only thing that really slowed us down was the darkness in the woods slowed us down quite a bit. But as far as where we could have saved time, we were camped in 2 separate spots. And I think if we'd have camped right together, that would have saved just a few minutes. And like you said the other day, if we would have just 5 minutes per lap, 10 laps, that's an hour almost, that's a little bit of time here and there. We really could have made it up there, but I'm real happy with that. I really wish now looking back on it, I wish I'd have went out for one more lap and used the full 24 hours. But that'll keep me going back, and that's going to make me go back next year. I told you earlier that course has a part of my soul and I want it back. I'm coming for it next year. So.
Yeah, that's the good part about that course. The video I made after, I was very honest with saying, that course has a way of just taking part of you and making you challenge you in a way that makes you leave a little bit out there that you could do better next year. Like if I just went out and smoked that race and did 100 miles this year, understandably, I could probably never match that. So it would make it different. You know what I mean? The motivation to kind of go out and do it again would be like, now I'm going to try something else. I already beat that course. Like I have not run that course yet in a way that makes me think I nailed it. You know what I mean? Like
and I tell you, you talk about the runner's high. I literally had a runner's high for a week after I got home. All I was thinking about was, okay, how can we take a few minutes off? How can we better next year?
Yeah.
And how can we break 70 miles? Because I think it's extremely doable.
Well, we could have easily done it this year. I think we were a little more conservative than we needed to be. Thomas Top says, how were things for you after the race, Joe? How'd you feel that week after?
I think because my hydration and my nutrition was on it, I was pretty sore on Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday I probably could have went out and ran. I felt pretty good. In fact, that Saturday I think I went out and did 20 miles, a flat 20 that Saturday. So 5 to 6 days out, I felt like I could go doing something else. I felt really good, and a lot of that was nutrition. It was staying on top of nutrition the whole time we were out there.
Yeah, and I think that because we didn't go out and absolutely smoke the course, we didn't get every ounce out of it. I think we left a little bit on the table. So I was the same way. I think you probably did 30 plus miles the next week. I was right around 25, 26 miles.
Yeah,
I think.
I've been trying to keep up with you. I've been trying to.
That's reverse now.
I kind of caught up with you. I've been trying to do about 40 a week. I had a goal at the beginning of the year of 1,300, and I realized I'm going to blow that out of the water. So now I got the goal of 2021. We're going to try to run 2,021 miles this year. So I'm a little behind schedule, but we're going to catch up and keep moving.
Absolutely. I have the same goal that 2021. It's an arbitrary goal. It's something I want to hit. It's more than what I planned to do last year by a significant amount. So I'm just trying to push myself a little bit. Thomas, yeah, we had perfect weather that day. I don't think we could have got better weather.
That was absolutely perfect. What was it? Low 40s in the morning and maybe mid 60s in the daytime.
Which feels hot.
Yeah, it does. It was perfect. I know we came in off that first lap. We had long sleeves on, and that came off immediately. That lasted for one lap. Long sleeves was no good.
And you knew it would. I mean, yeah, we knew it would.
Right.
Kelly said, you look so tired. I don't know who you're talking to, but Joe was a swerving crazy fellow that last lap as we were coming through.
That's the first time I've ever fallen asleep while running. I actually did one of those really long blinks where you forget where you're at. Yeah, I wish I could have got one more. It was just, it absolutely sucked all the energy out. I mean, I was dead after that one.
Cheryl Monique says there was a woman that broke 100 a few years back. I mean, yeah. I mean, if a runner goes out on that course and breaks 100, they're an absolute stud. I don't even know how someone can do it. It's just crazy to me to think about. I mean, because you're running that whole time, and I know how difficult a lot of those areas are to run. Because we were passing people that were legit runners talking about dropping after 70-something miles. I mean, they were ahead of us, but they were just talking about how the course was just tearing them up.
Yeah.
I definitely trying to run that course for 24 hours would smoke you pretty good. Sorry, I'm missing a lot of these comments. I'm trying. Go ahead, Joe.
We're going to try it, though. I'm going to try it next year. I've already committed. We're going to get all 24 hours in next year.
Absolutely. That was one of my goals this year, is like just run the whole 24. And so we got back to the pavilion. Joe's feet were just torn up and he was tired. And I was tired. I was not feeling horrible, but I was easily thin too. Joe been like, let's go one more. I said yes, but when he said, he's kind of tapping, I was like, I would, but that's fuel for the fire. I'm like you. I was already going out looking at the stats, looking at the splits, trying to figure out where we could do better next year. And I
felt bad. I felt like I held you back on that last lap. I felt bad, but we'll get it. We'll get it. No problem.
No, because that's a give and take thing. So, Joe brought up next year would be great because Athletic Equation turned this into kind of a trail fest. So there's a 50K, a 100K, a 24-hour race, and an 8-hour race it kind of staggered starts for the 50K, 100K, and 24-hour, and then the 8-hour started at like 11-ish, somewhere around there at night. And that kind of had
11 o'clock, I think it was.
So I think next year we're going to set up Motivation Theory running tent out there. So for anybody who wants to kind of travel in and hang out, and whether, depending on what COVID is, but I think we're all allowed to have a certain amount of people show up if we're under the same rules. But it'd be great to kind of have people come out. And if they want to run different races, you can do the 24. You can set up a team of 4 and run that. So there's a lot of options out there if anybody wants to run that next year and show up from the club. Sorry, I'm going through here, seeing if we're missing. If you have any questions for Joe or me about the race or in general, go ahead and throw them in there. Starting to catch up through here. So David Job said the rocks and the boulders just outside the start and finish of the creek would make getting really good times. Now, yeah, it was tough. It was definitely really tough. And honestly, that was probably the main reason I didn't want to go out on another loop. I just didn't want to have to deal with that. Mentally, it's exhausting to even think about those when you're really, really tired. When you're out in the day, it's kind of fun. You get sun out and you're full of energy. Night, not so fun.
Yeah, that first mile, which was also the last mile, that was rough. And I can't imagine if the whole course was like that. That'd be a rough one. But yeah, that was definitely the worst part.
If the whole course was like that, that'd be a race I would not probably partake in. But maybe.
Well, also the trees. I don't know what kind of trees they were. The roots would run along the top of the ground for forever. What seemed like. So it was like the roots wasn't right next to the tree. The roots would run 15 feet from the tree. And you're just constantly stepping on those. And I don't think either one of us hit the ground, did we? I know we both
No,
tripped, but I don't think either one
I
of us actually hit the ground.
there's a couple times I think the first couple laps I was tripping already, like just not falling, but just enough to hurt my foot a little bit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but like there were the root systems were growing across the trail where you'd run through 30 and 40-foot sections of just nothing but roots, and you could tell where other people had caught roots and kind of yanked them up, and they were sitting above the ground, making it a little bit more dangerous. So what we got here? So Kelly said you gave the motivation and companionship on all the other laps, so it was a fair exchange. Yeah, so that's the way I looked at it. It wasn't. I thought about it as a team effort. Someone had made a comment before about we didn't make it, or it seemed like a fun time. We didn't make a race of it, but I think we were we were racing. I don't think we would have done anything different if we were doing 100-miler. I think we probably would have had the same approach to that. We weren't racing each other though. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to beat Joe. And honestly, in that race, I've never even thought about place at all. I mentioned it here just because it kind of shows you where we finished. I didn't think about that the entire time. I don't care unless we're going to win.
If I'm doing ultras, I'm not doing 100-mile races. I'm doing 100-mile runs. I'm just trying to survive 100 miles. I'm not trying to race anybody. Look at me. If they had weight classes, I'd win, but they don't have weight classes. So I got to take if they have 40 plus and 230 pound plus, I'd be right up there at the top, but that's not an option. I think I lost it.
Good. We good? We back?
We're back.
We're back. So we're getting some latency here. I don't know what's going on, but Cheryl says 8 hours started at 9 p.m. I was actually happy about the 8 hours starting because that put more people out on the course.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And that's kind of my vision is you get people out there who want to do an 8 hour. Some people want to do a 12. Some people want to do a 24, and just make it a big party. You know what I mean? Big party all weekend.
Yeah, that'd be great. So I think next year I'm probably going to try to set something up, and we'll get a little bit of a cheering. Like 10 Junk Miles was out there. They had all their folks out there, and Joe was a rock star. The whole time we're hearing Joe Kern, people screaming for you the whole time. That was kind of cool.
That was crazy. I didn't even see that coming. They got me pretty good on that one.
With the signs that were up.
Oh yeah. It was a lot of fun.
So Barking Spiders Running said, what type of support team did you have? Family and friends. So what'd you have out there, Joe?
Well, my girlfriend Bree, she comes to all the races with me. Not only does she drive me there or drive me home at least, because I'm sleeping pretty much all the way home. We had about a 9-hour, 10-hour drive, and I slept till I pulled in the driveway. But yeah, she's great. She takes me to all the races. And of course, being that far away from home, that was pretty much the only support I had at that one. When I do local races, sometimes the kids come. My dad's been known to show up a time or two just to say, hey, but she's my support team. She's always got me wraps and food and peanut butter and jellies. And if I need anything, it's sitting there waiting for me. She kind of has me figured out at this point about, where I'm at, what I need. And that's my whole support team right now. She does a great job at it.
Yeah, that's awesome. She was giving me orders too to make sure that you ate at one time.
Right.
which is fun. Like, okay, I don't know if I could force Jody, but definitely I'm going to remind him to eat. And you did. It worked quite well. So my support team was my family came out when we got to, I don't know, maybe 9 laps. The funny thing is, one of the videos I did was maybe 6 years ago, that original, and Joe knows the original video that I did when my family came out, and it was at the exact same time. How crazy is that? They came out on the same loop. And I was like, I told my wife, I was like, you do realize you came out at the exact same time. And it was right around, it was the same exact loop, because I said the mileage in that original video, which was actually kind of funny. So
Yeah, it was funny to see because your littlest one, she wasn't around at the time, and then
No.
to see your kids exact same place, but 4 years, 5 years, whatever it was later. Of course, they grow so much at that age anyway.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, my son's about twice as tall now. So we go through some of these. Hey, Kelly. John's talking about we're frozen here. He's holding his breath. Yeah, I'm using StreamYard now, but I am on a wireless connection here in my house. So you do it. What up, John? What's going on? Long-time subscriber there. Supportive partners are worth their weight in gold. Yeah, they are. My family, when I did Belmonte, they were all kind of really heartbroken when they heard about what happened to me, because they were out there originally when I ran that race, and that race beat me up the first time. It's a tough course. It is a super tough course. And to hear that I ended up dropping at mile 36, one of the top 5 things in a video that I did, 6 years ago, was talking about how important that support team is, having that face, that person that knows you to help you along. And they all felt horrible that they weren't out there. They felt like they kind of let me down. And that was my choice, with COVID and everything going on. I know how much of a pain, and with a baby, to go out there to a race that's 2 hours away and drive down these old mountain roads and all day long. It's a lot to ask someone to do. So if you got somebody that'll do that for you, that's definitely worth everything in the world when you're an ultra runner. We got Bob Kern out there saying hello. Is that Ken, I'm assuming, or is that just a coincidence?
No, that's the old man.
Oh, hey, heard lots of good stories about him. He sounds like a phenomenal man. So he and we're going to be getting into that. He made his way across Indiana in his own little race, but his own journey across Indiana, correct?
He did. That's the reason. That's the main reason I'm doing it, following his footsteps.
So we can transition to that now. So Joe's been training quite hard, but he's got a goal for this year that to me seems like a really cool goal. It's a unique goal, and it's for a great cause, Joe. So go ahead, feel free to let us know a little bit about what you got going on with that.
Sure, I'll try to keep it somewhat short. So if you guys haven't heard the podcast, I told the whole story on the podcast I did on 10 junk miles. So my dad, the year he turned 70 years old, he decided he wanted to walk across the state of Indiana, and he was going to do it in 6 days. And in that 6 days, he walked all the way across the state. He raised a lot of money. My dad's a minister, and he raised money for ministry. And I always thought that was just the coolest thing. He was 70 years old at the time. And I just thought that was the coolest thing that he was able to do that. And I always said, man, I'd like to do something like that. I'd like to do something like that. That'd be great. And he'll be 85 this year. And I've put it off long enough. I wanted to do it. I said, I'm gonna find a way. I've been running these longer distances. I'm gonna try to run all the way across the state of Indiana, which Indiana's flat. I mean, there's not a whole lot of elevation gain here in Indiana, especially right through the center of the state. You get down south a little bit more, but center of the state, there's nothing. So a buddy of mine, Kevin, he said, well, if you're going to do it, make a fundraiser out of it. And I kind of fought him a little bit at first. I was like, I just want to do it for me. And he said, well, if you're going to do it anyway, you might as well do it for a good cause. So what cause speaks for you? What are you passionate about? And I got to thinking about it, and about 9 years ago, I had just got divorced. I had got laid off my job. You hear me all right, John?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I froze up there. I was just making sure.
I'm just shutting up. It's a rare thing.
You're fine, buddy. You're fine. I'm just making sure we're good. So about 9 years ago, the economy kind of took a downturn. I got laid off my job. I got divorced. Found myself in a hard spot, and I swallowed my pride, and I went to the local food pantry. And that little bit actually really helped me get through. It was a big deal. I swore I'm the kind of guy who's too proud to do anything like that, but every once in a while, we all need a little bit of help, So I went to the food pantry and got the help we needed for a little bit of time. And my job came back around and everything just kind of took off. It went from a very low point to it took off and everything's good now. But there was that point, where I really need a little bit of help. And so I said, if I'm going to do a fundraiser, I want to do a fundraiser for the food pantry. And so I started doing some investigating and, food pantry, they take a lot of times food that's either the box is damaged, but there's nothing wrong with the food, or they take food that's close to expiration, but not expired yet. And they buy or get that food donated to them. And they really know how to stretch money. They all the money you donate, I read it was 7 to 9 times as much as what they get. So if you donate $1, they're getting $7 to $9 worth of food is what they're buying for people. And really, I want to raise money for my particular food pantry. But I really want to raise awareness that there's food pantries in a lot of cities. There's a lot of times they're in churches, a lot of times, downtown, wherever you happen to live. I don't know, but so I'm kind of wanting to raise awareness as well. That a little bit goes a long way at these food pantries. And a lot of times people abuse these places, but a lot of times it's just people that need a little help, just need a little help until things come back around. And so that was the charity I chose. So we got a pretty good goal going. We still got some months to go. My original goal was $2,000 I'm trying to raise. I think we were up to 1,200. I just bumped it up to 25 because, even if we don't get there, every little penny helps. If I didn't raise another dime, that's still a lot of money to go and help out. So we started a website, runacrossindiana.com. Real simple. And on that website, you get a layout of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. There's the interview I did, the podcast that I did. I believe the video of our run, which anybody watching this has already watched it, but the video of our run's on there. And then there's a direct email to me if anybody's got any questions or anything. And if anybody's in the area, Central Indiana area, I'd love some company. We're going to try to run all the way across the state, and I have a goal of 50 hours, which is not possible, but that's moving. That's not stopping and sleeping, and that's moving pretty much the whole time. So October I believe it's the 7th. We're going to start at 7 a.m. 8th, October the 8th. We're going to start at 7 a.m., which is a Friday, and I want to be done by 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. And anybody who can come out and have a little fun, chat, talk. If not, I accepted the website for donations. And if you don't want to donate to my cause, that's fine. Just remember that there's people out there that just need a little bit of help, especially now. A lot of people in the service industry are not working. And it would be nice to, sometimes they just need a little bit of help to get them through tough times. So Absolutely. That's my goal. That's my goal, is to run the state of Indiana. And if you've met me, you probably don't understand how a man my size could do it, but we're gonna head down and buckle up and get to work. And I'm pretty excited about it. My dad did it, and I'm kind of following his footsteps, and I'm going to try to do it too.
That's awesome. I spent 21 hours with Joe, so I think your dad should know. I got to know you pretty well, and you're a great guy, and I'm more than happy to support this cause. I see I'm sharing your website up here for your GoFundMe. You're at $1,215. I'd love to see you get to 2K pretty quickly. I mean, I know everyone's probably hurting in some way. Some are doing better, some are doing worse, but I think what you're saying right now with helping those who help others is extremely important. So you can check out the runacrossindiana.com. I'm actually shocked you got that. No
I know. I couldn't believe it was available.
You might be the only, when you do this, you might be the only father-son duo to actually do that, right? I mean,
That maybe, I don't know. I've never looked into it that far. There's been a few people do it. You can find news articles of people doing it. Some people take a little longer to do it, and some people, I think the record is 34, 35 hours, something like that, which I have no interest in that, but
yeah, I think the mere fact that the doing it is going to be a great accomplishment, and also what you raise. I'm super interested to see what you raise for the local food pantry, because that's a great cause.
yep.
I'm sure,
And like
I'm
I
sure.
said, the money's important, but I also want to raise the awareness that almost every town has a food pantry of some sort. And so that's pretty important, you know. A little bit from us will go a long way at a place like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's actually a great point. I do know where I live, where people have volunteered to go down there this to serve to spend their time, which I think is probably important. Also, just getting that volunteer to help take up the man and women hours down there to help serve. But I definitely think, like you're saying, those people are experts in stretching dollars, and especially with how expensive food is now, you have to be. My wife tells me all the time how much food costs. It's crazy. Um, so I'm definitely happy that you're doing this show. It's going to be awesome. There's part of me that wishes I could go out there. I'm like trying to do the math. Like, how can I get out there and run some of this? How can I get out there to film this? I would love to document this, because this is going to be a cool thing.
Well, John, let me tell you, buddy, you have a lot to do with this. I know it doesn't make sense, but this is something I've always wanted to do and never took the step. Watching your channel, watching your comeback over the last 16, 18 months has inspired me. You know, if not now, when? You know, I'm not getting any younger. So your channel, directly is one of the reasons I'm doing this. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. And I mean, that is humbling. That is why I do this channel. I'm not an elite runner. I don't have accolades to brag about with winning races. I'm not an expert. I do have experience, but the main reason I did this channel was just to try to reach out to folks just like me, and try to kind of, even if it inspires someone to go out on one run, much less do something a little bit greater than that. That's all I do this for. And also the community aspect of this, and letting everyone know that, you can be, I'm just going to list myself, a middle-aged person with stress in life, with lots to deal with, and that you can still run ultra marathons if you're a runner. It's always about bridging that gap between just a runner and an ultra runner that people seem to have a mental hang up with, that they don't feel like they can do it. I've met a lot of people on this earth, and some really good people. And I think people need to understand there's a lot more in you than you think that you have. And running ultras helps bring that out. It's just a matter of kind of just taking that step and moving forward with it. And that's why I do this. So I think you underestimate what you can do, Joe. I saw you out there, man. You were strong on that course. So I think you're going to do a fantastic job when you're running across Indiana. Hopefully they'll get some news crews out there.
Yeah, we're going to work on that too. We're still early in the process. I told my girlfriend, I said, thank God we don't live in Texas, because that'd be a rough run to try to run across that state.
Yeah, I've always had the dream to run across Virginia, and I'm just like, I don't even know how to begin. Like, how do I know what roads I can run on? I probably would have to look up other people who've done it, and how long I would have to take off. Like, I've always wanted to kind of do something like that, because I don't think I could probably afford to go run something like a Badwater or something like that. Like, it's so expensive, but I don't think it's any less amount of people. It's going to take a lot of people to get out there and support you. I mean, I know you're going to be going through the logistics of that, and so that's going to be kind of a cool process to watch.
Yeah, it's one of those once in a lifetime. It's a lot of people want to do Badwater or want to do Western States, and man, that'd be great. Don't get me wrong, but this one means a little more to me. So I'm just pretty excited about doing something like that. And if you notice, I'm running east to west or west to east, not north to south, because anybody who knows Indiana knows that would be a lot harder. So,
well, yeah, I think the run across any states is a great. So what is it? 100, 160 miles?
about 160, give or take.
160,
Yeah,
okay.
in that range.
That's crazy. Have you thought about the logistics? I mean, I'm sure you thought about the logistics. Are you going to have like somebody following you the whole time, or are you just going to have people meet you?
Yeah, I'm going to have, well, I'm hoping to get some runners run with me here and there. You know, it's asking a lot, especially at 2 or 3 in the morning. But I'm going to have my girlfriend, my dad, he wants to be out there and take part, you know, and we're going to leapfrog. I got a buddy of mine, Kevin, he wants to come out. He's one of my running buddies. And, you know, I'm going to try to, when it gets a little closer, I'm going to try to assign people certain times. I've already driven 2/3 of the state to get certain destinations, certain points, you know, hey, meet me at this point at this time. So the logistics I'm starting to figure out. I've never done anything even remotely close to this. So it's kind of a take a debit card, and if all else fails, pop in and get something to eat, you know. But I think we're going to be fine. It's going to be just, you know, head down and go forward.
Well, your father says it's 167 miles, so I'll take his word on it because he walked every step of that. So
he knows better than I do. So
yeah, I don't want to short the feet by 7 miles. That's 100%.
That might make that 50 hours a little harder. Maybe it'll be 51, 52. Who knows?
Yeah, when I talk about Belmonte and they'd say they call it a 50-mile race, but it's actually, you know, a double marathon. Like I always feel like I have to say, look, this is a double marathon. That last couple miles, you know, 2.5 miles or so, 2.4 miles is a bear. I mean, it's you want to get every ounce you can out of it. So West Virginia Running, Don just ran a 12-hour race, I believe. He says he felt like he could have went further. But see, that'll give you some more to do next year, Don. So Don's been a channel, a subscriber since the start of this channel, probably when I had about 15 subscribers. So he's also a runner out in West Virginia and a good friend. So he just finished I believe it was a 12-hour race. And I'm actually looking forward to. So for the remainder of the year, I have a 50K, a 12-hour race, the JFK 50, the Marine Corps Marathon 50K, and then whatever else comes up. So what do you got planned for the rest of the year, Joe?
Let's see. May 22nd, I have Dances with Dirt, which is a 50K, which for Indiana, it's a lot of vert. It's a pretty tough one. And then June, I have a 12-hour race, which here's the difference between Indiana and Virginia. Last year, I did this 12-hour race, and I got 56 miles in. So for me to do 56 miles in 12 hours, and we only did 62 miles in 21 hours, that tells you the difference in vert right there. I was going to try to sneak another one in there, but I think 3 ultras in 28 days might be a little much. So them are my next 2. And then I'm thinking maybe try to sneak in 100 July or August. And then that'll be it until the big run in October.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm hoping to get 100 in this year. I just don't know where I'll fit it in. So I'm thinking I got to find the right 100-mile race. I've looked at the C&O Canal 100, but I just don't know. It's just trying to fit it in here and there.
I have no doubt you can do 100. I've watched you run. It's definitely doable for you. Now, can you do it on that course that we just did? You could do it. That'd be a rough one.
Maybe
you might want to find something a little flatter.
Maybe like 33 hours. I thought about the math on that. It would definitely be a little over 30 hours, though, I think, to do it on that course. I wish I was one of those folks that can come in and crush 103 miles and 24 hours on that course. It's just kind of an amazing feat. So you've run a 100-mile, right?
I did. It was. I think I told you about it. I put a little asterisk next to it. I'm real happy that I did it. But it was one of those ones. It was the hurricane come in that weekend, and we were getting the storms from the hurricane. It was back in October, and it rained so bad that the trails just became like ice skating rink. It was terrible. So they had a paved 1 mile alternate course, and it was still up and down, but it was paved. It was through a campgrounds. And I tell you what, we did 70 miles on a paved 1 mile loop. Man, that'll test you right there. I put in David Goggins' book in my ear for 13 hours straight and just kind of disappeared for a while. But yeah, I finished my first 100, and I'd love to try another one. That's on my bucket list. There's a few other ones I like to do. The Keys 100, I'd love to try. There's a run across Florida, which is a 200 miler. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance, but there's a bunch I'd still like to get at.
So when we were out there, you made a comment about the difficulty of the race of the 24-hour ATR. Now, are you still of the mind to think that course, that the race we just did, the 62.5 miles, was tougher than your 100-mile race?
That 62.5 miles was tougher than the 100 miles I did. Yeah, there's no doubt.
That's saying a lot. I mean, it really is. It's
that was the toughest race I've ever done, no doubt.
And yeah, I think that speaks volumes about it. I mean, at 100 miles, and you try to kind of downplay 100 miles. I mean, 100 miles is 100 miles, whether it's flat, downhill, uphill, it doesn't matter. It's, it's the mental aspect of ultras that will get you. It's not always physical.
I got to watch the sun come up twice that day. So that was, that's something you don't get to do all the time.
Yeah. Starlix said, just tried my first 100K on Saturday, got to 78K before my hips just gave out and I couldn't go any longer. I'm 21 though. So looking forward to many more years of the sport. Managed 78 in 14 hours. So you're just a baby. 21. I mean, the average age of ultra runners is like in their mid 30s. So you are ahead of the game. At 21, the last thing I was thinking about was running 3 miles, much less 78. So
I'm so upset I waited to get started. I didn't start my running career until I was 33. And I didn't start ultra running till I was, 30, I don't know, 6, 37. I wish I'd have started at 21. I'd be a lot farther along than what I am.
Me too. I started at 30. So after I gained all that weight in my 20s, working a desk job, I found, and I hated running. When I was in high school, I was a sprinter, and to run 1 mile, you would have thought they were pulling my fingernails out of my hand. Like it was like when I ran baseball and they'd make you run 1 mile. It was the most miserable thing. I could never imagine running. Why anybody would want to run more than 1 mile. And so the buddies that I have and I grew up with now that know that what I do, they're just like, I don't understand. Most people are like, I don't understand. But those that know that how much I hated running growing up, it's just kind of funny. So Kelly said 70 miles on paved loop. That sounds like pure misery. Yeah,
it was absolutely.
So I think most people don't understand the mental aspect of ultras. It's crazy. It is physical, but everyone has in their mind, like you went out and you haven't run a lot and you go out and you run 5K and you just hurt and it sucks and it's the worst thing. You ran as hard as you could. It's not really ultras. Ultras are a balance of the pain and the kind of the misery of dealing with pain over a long time of being on your feet, but it's also the mental aspect of just being on your feet for a long time. You're dealing with nutrition, hydration, being tired, wanting to quit because your body's sending signals to your brain like, hey, you're dying. Why don't we quit and you're fine? That's
I've heard a lot of ultra runners talk about the hardest part is being in the low and know you're going to come out of it. But when you're in that lull, when you're in that bottom, that's the hardest part is pushing yourself through that to know you're going to come out the other side and probably go back into it again a second time or a third time. Yeah.
And the funny thing is the more you do it, you get used to that, but it doesn't make it easier. Like I know what's going to happen. It's like, I know the conversation I'm going to have with myself. And I'm like, I'm just going to ignore that guy. Cause the John at, 4 o'clock in the morning is not the John I want to listen to. I want to be the John when I start the race. I want to talk to that guy. And I'm really easy to persuade to just stop after 21 hours. So that's what you have to you got to build up that mental toughness, that callus on your brain that's able to kind of understand what's going to come and just deal with it and learn to ignore it, that you're not dying. You're going to be just fine. keep going, Buttercup, and everything will be all right.
And when you got someone next to you yelling out Goggins quotes all night, that helps you keep moving.
I was a little weird yelling out who's going to carry the boats. And then when I yelled it to people I thought that were actually in the race and they weren't in the race was a little embarrassing, but but it made me feel better to yell out who's going to carry the boats. And what was the other one? Can't hurt boat crew too.
Can't hurt boat crew too. That's right.
Yeah. That's what I yelled all day long out there. Starlight says, I love the mental aspect. I was prepared to go for 24 hours to get to the finish, but the course had strict cutoffs and I physically couldn't limp enough to the next cutoff. It sucks about the time. Yeah, I've been there in a race before. That's definitely tough.
Well, I tell you, I've learned from every race, and the ones you learn from the most are the ones that beat you up. I learned a lot from the one out in Virginia. I've had one DNF, what I considered a DNF, and I learned more from that DNF than I ever did from anything I finished, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely learn a lot more from failure than success. I mean, that's just you do. And I wouldn't say I've had a lot of failure, but I'm never really satisfied with races. I mean, I go out and do the best I can, and then I kind of have an after action and realize, hey, I could do better here, I could do better there. And that's why I love the sport, because I've never gone out and run a perfect race, and I can always improve and do something better. So that's what's fun about running. Especially running ultras. Kelly says, that's what I love about ultras. Word almost verbatim. Spending time on the trails, definitely, but I'm not very fast, but I'm sure stubborn and determined. So we saw a lot of people out there that were not fast. I wouldn't say we were super fast, but there were people out there that were moving a lot slower than us that were out there just getting it done. And that's a huge inspiration. People that probably had 15, 20 years on us that were out there still getting it done.
Absolutely. I've said it before in some of your comments on your page that I get more inspiration from the guy who's barely meeting the cutoffs, who stumbles over the line, than I do from the elite runners. Because one of these days I'm going to be that guy trying to beat cutoffs, stumbling over the line. Those people are a lot more impressive to me.
Yeah, and that's something I've seen. Like in the JFK 50 has a very large field. And I told you some stories about the Pierre, the guys that wear like the signs that say, this is my, 36th time running this. And like, I'm more impressed with someone who's run a race 36 times or been running ultras for 30 something years than the person who won a couple races. I mean, it's impressive to me but they were born freaks of nature. Not that they don't work hard. Absolutely. They train hard, but they're born with a little something that most people aren't. To be able to run a 24-hour or to run 100 miles in, 11 hours. There's training there, absolutely, but there's something special about that person. But there's also something special about the person who's finishing 130 hours, struggling along while they had to work a full-time job. They're not getting paid. They don't have sponsors. They got a family. They got a significant other, and they're dealing with all that and still getting out there and getting it done. And that, to me, that is definitely worth recognizing. Stubborn. So I'm clicking through the comments here. All right, Joe. So Davey said, I did not start running till I was 38. Just did my first ultra a couple weeks ago, 50 miles and a third was paved. I cannot imagine 70 miles on pavement. Great job, Davey. And Davey is also a channel member, so thank you for the support. And just to quickly make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button when you're in here. And if anybody wants some cool merch, you will notice in the video, Joe is wearing a lot of the Motivation Theory Run Club merch. It's down in may not be in the description list, but I think it is. You can go ahead and click that and check it out if you are interested. We got a new member here, Gold Giant. Thank you for joining here. Awesome. Welcome to the community and to membership on the channel. And congrats. Did I pronounce that right? Davely. Does that makes Davely 7. Thanks. That is awesome. 50 miles is a huge accomplishment. All right, Joe. So we're going to wrap things up. So any final parting words? To me personally, I was extremely happy to run with you. That was a lot of fun for somebody who runs alone a lot. I was excited to run with you and meet you. We talked off and on, as doing this YouTube stuff. To me, that was what it was all about, that camaraderie, making friends and this community. And so to me, running that ATR with you was extremely satisfying. It was fun. We had great conversations all day. There's a lot of conversations between you and I that are just for you and I, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I'm going to cherish that forever. That was a lot of fun. I feel like made a good friend, and you're a great guy. And I wish you the best in everything that you do. And I look forward to seeing you next year. But final parting words for the group.
Well, buddy, I appreciate that. I appreciate the group. I appreciate the people that are in it. It's this channel. The reason I got hooked on this particular channel was just that. I saw a guy similar to me, struggling with the same things I'm struggling with, having a family, having kids, getting a little older, a few pounds overweight, to be honest. But that real life, that real thing is something I really connected with. So I really appreciate the channel. I appreciate you letting me come out and run with you. I really enjoy these little, hopefully we can do some more of these post-race interviews. You can get some other people to come out there and run with you and do some post-race interviews. And like I said, you are making a difference. You got, 8,000 people subscribed. I'm hoping you hit 100K someday. You deserve it. You really do. So hopefully you'll have me next year. I can't wait to come out to Virginia, and we'll do it all again.
Absolutely. So everyone, next year, we'll start advertising that. We'll get a tent out there. We'll get everybody that registered. Hopefully they'll open up the races and we can get more people out there, because that race is normally a lot bigger. And I think you can choose the distance you want. We can get a big party going out there, and we can kind of compete with the 10 junk miles folks out there, because they're crazy.
That'd be amazing. Maybe we can make up some signs and embarrass them the same way they did me.
Exactly. We can yell at them all day. So just so everyone knows, I'm going to try to start bringing on channel members more and having discussions and kind of meeting the community, and just having chats and discussing how do we do this thing that we all love, with the lives that we live, not being sponsored athletes, not being elite athletes. Because I think it's important to all of us. Because I think as different as we all are, I think there's a common thing inside of all of us that makes us do this crazy thing called ultra running, or just running in general. We're doing something special, just getting out every day running, whether you're running 100 miles, 1 mile, 2 miles. most people are sitting on the couch not doing anything. So that's my goal, is to try to help inspire people to understand they have a lot more inside of them. And they definitely can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. I would say if Joe could do this, you can do this. But Joe's a great guy. He's a lot tougher than I am. So
if I can do this, anybody out there can do this. I promise.
I wouldn't say that for you, but if you could say it, that's completely fine. And we got a great community.
Absolutely.
Of folks
Let's keep it real.
Keep it real. And if you are not joined to us out there, let me someone's trying to get to the software here. We are out on Strava. Go over here. I got your run across. I got all this stuff. I'm trying to turn the stuff off here, Joe. Here we go.
John, just to let everybody know, I wasn't ignoring their comments. My phone froze up 30 minutes ago, and I just can't see any of the chats. So I appreciate you guys. I wasn't ignoring you. I just technology,
I got 2 streams going. I got on Facebook and YouTube, and I got comments coming in. And I'm trying to kind of get to everybody. Now I know why when I watch some of the channel, other people streaming, they're hard time seeing everything. I'm doing the best we can. So there's going to be a lot more of these. So as long as I can stay consistent, but I'm definitely going to try to make a really good effort, even get through baseball season, softball season, and all the stuff I got to do. But if you are not on Strava, it is free. You can join the Motivation Theory Run Club on Strava. It is free. It is to join. You just open a Strava. There is paid, but there is also free. You can join us out there. We're close to 600 people out there. If you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. We're going to be hitting that 10K soon, and I'm definitely going to try to do some kind of cool giveaway with that. So that's kind of exciting. There's merch below if you want Motivation Theory Run Club stuff. We have trail therapy stuff out there, go ahead and grab you some of that. And with that, I thank you, Joe, for joining me. It was a great conversation. I appreciate all of you joining us out there. I know there was a lot of you out there, and if I missed your comment, I'm extremely sorry, but I did try to put it on the screen. And we'll see you. I'm going to try to do these on Mondays for now, but I got to move around games and stuff. So I'll do the best we can. So that is it. I appreciate it, Joe. Until next time, hopefully I'll see you next Monday at the same time, 8 o'clock. And goodbye.